Hi everybody, Mr. Nathan here, doing something a little bit different for the video today on the channel. Today we're actually going to do a gear review. Now, as I teach a lot of different students, the question typically comes up about gear. You have a lot of people that are starting out playing guitar or piano or bass or whatever it is, and the parents or the student wants to know what should I get if they don't have something already. And there's just so many options out there. So when you're just going online and Googling or going on Amazon or whatever, it just seems like it can be overwhelming how many choices you have. And you're not quite sure what's worth the money, what's not worth the money. So I'm always really ready to kind of help direct the parents or the students so that they can get the biggest bang for their buck. So the gear I'm going to talk about today is the pedal called the Joyo American Sound. So the maker is Joyo, Joyo, and it really is just like one of the greatest values that I've come across in terms of needing some kind of amp, something to plug your electric guitar into. So this is really for your electric guitar players. It's becoming really popular to have kind of all-in-one setups, so like an amp in a pedal or like a little effects processor, so you don't have to lug around a huge amp. I've had twin reverbs before, and they're super heavy, and you don't want to rough them up too much because of the tubes, and they sound amazing, but they can be a little bit of a burden to kind of transport and work with. So a lot of people are going towards kind of simple and small. And Strymon, they put out the Iridium, which is a great pedal. But what I'm going to talk about today in the Joyo American Sound is something that is really affordable. So you're looking at about $39.99 right now when this video is released. And usually it's like ship overnight from Amazon. And the only downside is that it isn't an amp, so you don't have a speaker, in it. So you can't hear anything when you plug into it. So you need something to plug into it. So I have a link down below in the description for a pretty affordable PA speaker. So it's like $100. So that can kind of act as your speaker, and it's just a flat sound. So anything coming from the pedal is going to be coming through that. So even with the speaker, it's like $150. What I'm recording through right now is through the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. So that's going into my computer, and that way I can record, I can use the speakers behind me, the studio monitors that are pretty cheap, as kind of my speakers. And then I can listen to the computer, I can listen to tracks while I play. It's much more versatile than just like needing something to produce the sound. So those are two options that you can use. Otherwise, if you're just someone that wants to have like an amp on your pedal board that you can plug into a DI and then go to front of house if you're playing in church or you're playing live, this just fits on your pedal board. It's tiny. I've got my fingers here. It's about that wide. So it's really small, and it's so cheap. So if you're looking to get into playing with an amp, you don't want to spend the hundreds of dollars on an amp and then kind of having to lug it around, or even just kind of having an amp that's producing so much sound that you're disrupting your family members or your neighbors or whatever. This thing, if you plug it into your Focusrite or even the PA speaker, you have like headphone out, you can just play silently at home with really good quality sound. So again, there's a lot of options out there. So this isn't, by any means saying this is the best one. I've just found that in playing tube amps, in playing different amps that are around the market and suggesting them to students, this is great value. I really stand behind it. I'm not affiliated with Joyo at all. I don't get anything from them by posting this video or sharing about it. It's super good quality, and it's really affordable. So if you're someone getting into amps or wanting to get into electric and you don't want to go through the hassle of the amp buying process, I would really highly recommend this. And then again, the description has all the links for like the Focusrite setup that just goes USB A and B into your computer. So if you need to get a converter, or the PA speaker. So that's kind of that. Now, I'll also say, if you've been really kind of targeting a specific type of amp sound. So for example, if your dream has been to own a Fender twin reverb or a Mesa amp or a Marshall, as someone who has gone through that process to try and recreate my dream sound from all of these different types of pedals, I was never totally satisfied when I went back and played the real thing. I just felt like nothing could compare. So if you really want that sound, my suggestion to you is to work hard and save up and buy that amp and just make it work. So for example, this mini rectifier right behind me right there, having a full-size single or dual rectifier doesn't make sense in my setup, but to me, that sound is very sentimental. It's something that's very personal. So after going around and trying to piecemeal it together, I needed to just get that. And when I plugged in right away, you know, basically everything on 12, you just plug it in, you know, it's the sound. So this isn't saying this takes the place. It gets very close, in my opinion, especially to your Fender line type of clean, overdriven pushed amps. But it is something that is a great value for the money. And I highly recommend it. So what I'm going to do in the tutorial, or kind of product tutorial, today is I'm just going to show you 3 sounds from the pedal and kind of what those EQ settings look like on the pedal. If you have one, you can kind of follow along, or if you're going to get one, come back to the video and kind of use this. Now, the disclaimer is that my guitar sounds like my guitar. So your guitar will sound like your guitar. So if the settings don't produce the exact same sound, it's because you probably have different pickups than mine, or different body, different wood. There's lots of things that will affect the sound. So I'm going to give you ballpark settings. And then what you should do when you get yours is just kind of dial it in, you know, to taste, but you should be ballpark for kind of the sound. So I'm going to give you a really clean sound, like a very crystal clear, high headroom type of Fender tone. Then I'm going to give you like a pushed tone, so like a slightly gritty tone that's great for like layering overdrives and all of that. And then like a hard rock sound. So again, this isn't like high gain sound, but it's close, especially for $40. That's what we're going to do. So kind of a clean, a push tone, and a high gain. So let's go ahead and get into it. So again, I'm playing this Gibson ES335, and this is just the direct signal. Okay, so very direct. And I'm just using my bridge pickup. Everything's turned up. So just a very DI sound. Okay. Now I'm going to put everything on 12. Try not to hit this camera here. Okay, everything on 12. I'm going to show you why this isn't necessarily where you want to be. Okay? All right, here is the Joyo at 12. Okay, so you can immediately see there's a difference in the DI and the Joyo. And also, I forgot to mention, you can do a 9-volt adapter or just a 9-volt battery too. So you don't even need a power supply if you don't want. Okay, so basically what you have in the Joyo is you have your low, middle, and high EQ. Then you have level, voice, and drive. Now these are kind of the main ones you're going to work with. Okay, these kind of are going to stay pretty set for the most part. I'll show you how I'm setting them different for kind of a different sound, but they're going to stay pretty close to kind of how you like your guitar to sound. The level is a volume, so you can hear right there. A lot of noise if I turn it right up. Not a lot, but just kind of the wishy-washy sound. Voice, that basically is indicating what type of kind of Fender you're looking for. So like all the way down here is going to be like very clean, and then all the way here it's like a dimed Fender amp that's really pushing the tubes and giving you a lot of gain. The drive obviously is going to give you how much gain. Okay, so let's do a clean sound first. So a clean sound, we're going to put our low at about 230, bump up the lows, 1030 for our mids. So we're going to cut some of the mids, and then we're going to keep the highs at 12. Level, we're going to go to about 5. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to take our voice, move all the way to 7. So see how I'm increasing the volume, but I'm moving this so that it's kind of like that cleanest sound that we can get. And then the drive, We're going to cut that down. And automatically, see how you can hear that sound here? And we're going to cut it down to about 930. Okay? So here's DI. And now here is the Joyo. So very clean. You can tell like it's doing what a lot of these pedals do, you know, even though it's like amp sim, it's basically like a boost and then like an EQ, kind of a secondary EQ. So here's dry. Just gives it so much more body. And honestly, I mean, that is very close. So do your kind of middle position type of. And again, there's no reverb, nothing, no processing, pre or post. That is exactly what the pedal sounds like, again, with this guitar, okay? So, bridge, very clean, okay? All right, so let's move on to kind of a push setting. EQ-wise, I'm gonna keep it exactly the same, okay? Now, I'm gonna change down here. I'm gonna pull back the volume because I'm gonna push the other settings. Voice, I'm going to move up to 1030, right about there. And then drive, I'm going to move to about, we'll keep it around 930. Okay. All right. So here's direct. And now here is pushed. Make sure we're actually in tune. So a great, just slightly overdriven tone. And this is the one that, like, if you have some really great overdrive pedals or distortion pedals, this is where these are going to sing. So I had a DS1, kind of the infamous DS1 that a lot of people knock because it just sounds really gritty and grainy. But if you set it right, the DS1 is an awesome pedal. And then with that slightly overdriven tone, it sounds awesome. So this is that setting that if you just want to play kind of rhythm guitar, and then push it with some gain, this is kind of your setting that you want to have for that type of playing. So again, you can see we went from like really crystal clear, clean, and then just with a few shifts in that lower level, we're already with kind of a broken up type of tone that now that's kind of our cleanish tone that then we can layer and layer. And you can do that with the clean setting too. That's fine. All right, so let's go ahead and move to our really gainy, gainy sound. So again, this is not, if you're looking for like, I can save, you know, thousands of dollars, you know, not buying my Soldano or like Mesa Boogie and just get a $40 Joyo American. It's not the same. You can get close. And again, like if you're playing in a mix and like you have stuff around you, I think most people would not have any idea you were getting your tone out of a $40 pedal. But you can get close. So again, we're going to kind of zero that out. All right. So in terms of EQ, when you go high gain, you do need to shift the EQ. So we're going to boost our lows. We're going to kind of keep our mids right around there. Maybe just back it off just a little bit. And then here, we're going to really boost our highs. And that kind of brings out that high gain. So you're looking at this and it's like, okay, classic cut the mids type of setting. But, you know, that's the whole thing when you've got these kind of pedals or like this setup where it's not just plug in your Fender Twin and have it sound like the Fender Twin. There is an element of kind of tweaking. You got to kind of experiment. So don't get this and put it all on 12 and say, it doesn't sound anything like it, because it won't. But you have to try and trial and error. And I'll admit, I don't have a lot of patience for all of the tweaking. So I get really burnt out with that. So this is a great setup because there's just 6. and you can get pretty close with just a little bit of adjustment. So if you're like me and you get kind of overwhelmed with like option paralysis with like all of the different mics and distances, like you suddenly have a tone that sounds nothing like a preset that they gave you. This is great because it's hands-on, get it right there, and boom. All right, so level-wise, let's go ahead and bring this to 12. So we want to back that off a little bit. Voice, we're going to kind of bring this towards a higher gain, and then we're going to move our drive there. All right, so here's the clean. Okay, and now here. So again, it's not your high gain pure tone of the amps that maybe you're longing for, but if you're just playing in a mix, now I'm going to cut back some of those lows and maybe some of the highs a little bit, boost some of the mids. And again, if you have anything around it, like if you, I was using a GFI Systems Cab Zeus with it that was kind of a cab sim, it just rounds everything out. So if you're going for the high gain, you feel like, God, that's still kind of brittle. And I could tweak with it a little bit more. It's just ballpark. Those things really help. Or if you just have like a general EQ pedal, that can round some of that out. But it's really close going from clean to overdrive to kind of a higher gain, especially if you have it in the mix with a bass player or kind of a band around you, that passes. So if you want just that high gain, again, if you kind of tighten it up with a tube screamer, again, you're going to hear more of that noise. But again, if you're playing high gain, there's going to be more noise, right? Enough of that. So basically the point being is that in this $40 pedal, you have a wide range of options that can cover most of the bases that you want to play without investing a ton of money on an amp that might bring you some challenges with maintenance or just kind of having to transport it. And again, you can always go up towards buying that amp if you still really want that sound. But if you're someone that maybe is on a budget and you want versatility, you want portability to be able to put it right on a pedal board or have it at home where you can play quietly through an audio interface like a Focusrite. You can get those for $50. I have a link in the description that you can get one. I think new they're around like 140. So still, you're only down like 140 plus 40. So you're about $200. And you've got all these tones. And again, this is without anything around it. So add a little bit of reverb to it. And honestly, if you have a side-by-side, you're very close to a lot of these amps that you would be paying a lot more for. So again, links in the description for the Joyo. You can get the Focusrite, the PA speaker, and other stuff that I recommend to students all the time. And if you have anything else that you're kind of you've got questions about in terms of gear, or if you're on a specific budget or you're looking for something, I'm by no means an expert, but I do have some experience recommending stuff to get people started. The whole vision behind Mr. Nathan Music is to kind of get people going towards their goals of playing the music they love as quickly as possible. So I always am trying to find those really convenient bridges. If someone wants to play Metallica, I'm not going to send them the direction of a Blues Junior. I'm going to try and find something that gets them there quickly, even if it's not exactly the setup that Metallica has for thousands and thousands of dollars, but at least they can be in their room jamming and sounding pretty close to the stuff they like. So if you've got any questions about anything, whether it's the music content on the channel or gear, I'm going to probably do a few more of these, but I hope that was helpful. And I hope you go and buy this thing just because it is awesome and it's versatile and it gets a lot of use. So put it to work, get it, dial in your tone, use these if they're helpful. Leave a comment below if you like the video or if you have questions about it. And if you want any other reviews or anything about any other gear that might help you get started playing the songs you love. All right, that does it for me. I'm Mr. Nathan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.